Hello, everyone. Welcome to Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm sure Kimbaloye in Lagos. Well, let's tell you quickly that the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Hanire, expressed his dissatisfaction on the federal government, the dissatisfaction of the federal government on the British government's decision to place Nigeria on the COVID-19 red list. Today, his counterpart in the Ministry of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has condemned the red listing of Nigeria by the UK government over the 2 cases of the Omicron variant of COVID-19 at a news conference in Abuja. Mr. Mohammed described the decision as unjust and discriminatory. The minister has, however, called on the UK government to rescind their decision immediately. Take a listen to the Minister of Information.
The decision by the British government to put Nigeria on the red list just because of less than 2 dozen cases of Omicron, which, by the way, did not originate in Nigeria, is unjust, unfair, punitive, indefensible, and discriminatory. The decision is also not driven by science or common sense. How do you slam this kind of discriminatory action on a country of 200 million people just because of less than 2 dozen cases? More importantly, whereas British citizens and residents are allowed to come in from Nigeria to Britain, non-residents from the same country are banned. The 2 groups are coming from the same country, but being subjected to different conditions. Why won't Britain allow people in both categories to come in and be subjected to the same conditions of testing and quarantine? This is why this decision to ban travelers from Nigeria who are neither citizens nor residents is grossly discriminatory and punitive.
Well, yesterday, President Muhammadu Buhari returned from the Expo 2020 in Dubai, an event aimed at creating an environment for Nigerians to join over 190 countries to forge true and meaningful partnerships. President Buhari arrived at the country via the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport afternoon of yesterday after a 4-day official trip to Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. The president will leave the shores of the country on Wednesday, arrived the Arab nation on Thursday, where he met with prospective investors. Tonight, we hope to find out some of the outcomes of that trip and the benefits for Nigeria. I'm being joined tonight by the president's media advisor, Mr. Femi Adesina, who joins us from Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Adesina, for coming tonight to speak to us. I guess we should find out, before we dig deeper into the Dubai trip and some of the gains from that trip. First and foremost, the stories around the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. We understand there was a letter transmitted from the president to INEC, and there was a response. Can you tell us anything about that?
Well, what I'll just say about that is that it is work in progress on the Electoral Act. The president still has a number of days within which he should sign that bill into law, and rest assured that the president will do whatever is good for the country at any given time. So it is work in progress. There's still a window of a number of days, and the president will do what is best for Nigeria at the right time.
So what can you tell us about the communication between the president and INEC? What can you tell us about that?
No, rather it is from INEC you will get that, because it went direct from the president to INEC. So from INEC end, you can get some feedbacks on that.
But I mean, the question here, Mr. Additional, is that President tried to make some inquiries from INEC, and there was a response from INEC. And so, since it came first from the presidency to INEC, what can you tell us about that exchange? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, and what I'm telling you is that that does not necessarily go through the media department of the presidency. If it didn't go through the media department, then I would not have more to tell you than what is already in the public domain, because it's a transmission direct from the president to INEC.
So what can you tell us? I mean, you assume that it's in the public domain, so what can you tell us?
What I can tell Nigerians is that the president is consulting widely, and he will do what is best for the country in respect of that Electoral Act.
So, I mean, when you say what is best, so the question on everybody's lips is, what was in the public domain? You're still not able to tell us. I mean, you assume that a lot of Nigerians know what is in the public domain. What can you tell us about what is in the public domain? Can you confirm to us what transpired between the communication?
You have always treated these issues, particularly direct primaries, indirect primaries, and other issues in that proposed law. That's why I said it's in the public domain. What are the germane, the fundamental issues in that proposed law? They're already in the public domain. The issue now is, will the president assent? And I've told you, the president is consulting. He has to consult with all the stakeholders and then arrive at a position that is best for the country. That consultation is going on. Part of that consultation was the communication with INEC, and there are other stakeholders that have also been reached for positions and counsel on that. At the end of the day, Mr. President is going to aggregate all of it, and what is best for the country is what he will do. We can't preempt him, but he will do it within the appropriate time.
So you said he's consulting widely. Who are the other people that you think he's consulting with that we need to know?
If it's supposed to be in the public domain, it will be made public. But I know that he's consulting widely.
Has he sought the advice of the Attorney General?
There are certain things that never get done without the counsel of the Attorney General. You can be sure of that. And this falls right within the purview of the Attorney General. So you can be sure that every bit of the way, the Attorney General is carried along.
There are a lot of stories in the villa, but being a senior journalist before you started speaking for government, what can you tell us? The villa, will the president sign it?
That's a hefty question, Jim. Will the president sign it? What I'll tell you is that the president is there to ensure that things go well in the country. The president is there to ensure that processes are enhanced, and the new law will enhance our electoral processes in different ways. So the president will look at that critically, and he will do the best for the country. That's all I can tell you.
Because the reason why I'm particular, and a lot of people are particular about this bill, is that they feel that this is a president that has promised that he will not interfere with the workings of INEC, and that he will do everything to leave a legacy of good elections in Nigeria, as he met, because he was privileged to have gotten into an election on several occasions, that those elections are really written with a lot of anomalies, and he's gone to court to challenge those elections. But he's privileged to have had an election where a sitting president considered defeat, and that's how he became a president. So the question is whether or not that promise of wanting to leave a lasting legacy on a credible election, and by which means is the issue of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. So a lot of people will maybe skeptical, because the president has a history of not assenting to a similar bill. And that's perhaps a reason why some people are not comfortable and hoping that 2 weeks now gone, the president has not said anything. So that's why the reason why some people may be anxious. And that's why I'm asking the question. For a president who had refused assent to one Electoral Act amendment bill, the fear is there, Mr. Additional, isn't it?
Well, you may not know the whole story of the earlier one that was not assented to. But I can tell you with all confidence that it was indeed the best for the country. You will see that the same set of people that seemed to be piling pressure on the president to sign the former one are also piling pressure now. It could be because maybe they had some sinister motives, they had some hidden hostile things in that previous law, which would have served their purpose. That one was not signed for legitimate reasons. But this one, there's enough time. You know, one of the reasons adduced for not signing that previous one was because of the short time between the time it was brought and the election. And there was a minimum time within which it should be brought. Now this one has been brought in good time. All I'll say is that as long as it will serve Nigeria well, as long as it will serve our democracy well, serve our electoral processes well, the president will do what is needful.
If the president is going to sign or not sign is in the realm of conjecture. The decision is solely on the president to do what he thinks will be good for himself. But as someone who worked closely with him, do you think that if he does not sign, it will dent his image in terms of democratic value, or the promise that is made of leaving a legacy of good elections in Nigeria?
In terms of his image for democratic value, that image is made already. It is made already. It's almost cast in concrete. You will find that one election after the other has been better under President Buhari. Under President Buhari, the governing party has lost states, has lost legislative seats, has lost so many elections. It didn't used to be. It used to be that whichever party was in power won all elections before by hook or crook, not under President Buhari. So his reputation as somebody who wants to leave clean elections for Nigeria has already been made. Whether the Electoral Act is signed or not does not detract from that reputation.
So even if he doesn't sign this, you don't think that it will dent his image on democratic values at all?
Is in the realm of conjecture. We don't begin to talk of if he doesn't sign because we have not got to that bridge. We don't cross our bridges till we get there.
I would have made reference to, so that it doesn't look like I'm personalizing your person into this job. I probably would have made reference to one of the articles you wrote for the Sun newspaper some years back about democratic values and the rule of law and all of that, which, of course, will be called to question tonight. But don't let me drag you too far and too personally on this matter. But if you have the opportunity to advise the president on this bill, what would you say to him?
Yes, I'll just say, please, Mr. President, I know that you love this country. I know that you want the best for her, and you have always done the best for the country. On this bill, do the very best for Nigeria.
And what would the best mean, from your own point of view? The best could be not assenting it.
No, I didn't get that.
You said it should do the best. And what would best mean? What is the best in your own terminology? In your own
well, best would mean look at all the clauses in the bill, and if they will serve our electoral processes well, please sign. But if there are clauses that will be deleterious to our electoral fortunes, then let it be looked at again.
All right, we are hopeful that we'll hear good news and see how we can further our electoral values in this country. So let me take you to Dubai. You were in Dubai, and I'm very sure that you enjoyed yourself when you were on that trip with the president. Dubai is a beautiful place to visit, and 50 years ago, Dubai wasn't anything like this. In fact, for those who remember history, Nigeria was a part of the history of Dubai in some ways for some of the partnerships that this country had done with the United Arab Emirates. But what comes out to President Buhari on that trip, and what would you say is the biggest lesson or the benefits that accrues to Nigeria from that trip?
Well, it's an investment trip. And like I have said a couple of times on your show, investment trips by their nature are not trading affairs. Trading affairs are when you take goods worth 100 million to the market, you then come back, you say, how much did I sell today? I sold good worth 60 million, 70 million. Those are trading affairs. That's not how investment trips work. This was an investment trip. What do you do on investment trips? You meet potential investors and you unfold what your country has to offer. And in this case, Mr. President has been talking of infrastructural drive. He has talking about policies. He has talking about ease of doing business. He has been talking about things that will attract investors to Nigeria. And he has told them that Nigeria remains the most viable market in Africa. And he also charged them, keep an open mind. In other words, not everything that you hear reflects the way Nigeria is. Keep an open mind. Check yourself, come and see. And you will find out that you can do good business here.
The president told that those who he spoke with, and he said at that forum, that Nigeria is Africa's most viable investment destination. Is that based on data, or based on projection, or based on hope, or he just wanted to sell Nigeria to the rest of the world at that forum?
It's well proven. Well proven. Because you look at what Nigeria is offering and compare with what other African countries can offer, you will know that Nigeria is the most viable investment destination in Africa. The president talked about areas in which they can come and invest, in mining, in agriculture, in food business, many areas. And he also told them that Nigeria has human resource, a market of 200 million people. Oh, you can't wave that aside. How many countries in Africa have that potentials, that marketing potentials? So Nigeria is a viable investment destination in Africa. The president was right when he said that.
I was asking that question because when I'm not sure that was based on unavailable data about investment destinations on the continent. Is it?
Well, if you have superior data, then you have to come forward with it. But what we know is that that is veritable. It's veritable data. But if you have anything superior, then you have to come forward with it.
So I will give you there's a ranking that came out, which by the Rand Merchant Bank, a latest ranking of top 10 investment destinations. Nigeria is nowhere to be found compared to about less than 10 years ago that Nigeria ranked about 6th or 5th in that ranking. But Nigeria is not even in the top 10. Egypt, for example, ranked about 6th or 7th on that ranking. But Egypt is the #1 investment destination in Africa based on the RMB ranking. So that's the reason why I was asking, was the president talking to those people at that forum based on the available data? It was just projection, because the data show that Nigeria does not even rank in one of the top 10 investment destinations on the continent?
Well, we don't know the indices used for that ranking. Unless we are privy to the indices, then we can say we agree with it completely. But in terms of natural resource, human resource, market potential, Nigeria ranks highest in Africa.
What data are you quoting, or what data are you referring to, Mr. Additional? Because I've given you a source now.
Available.
When you say available data,
available
is it
data.
our own, is it the Nigerian data, or the data that assess all the countries of the continent, or which data are you making reference to?
I told you. You read up that report. And I said we didn't know what the indices were, unless we knew what the indices were. For instance, if one index was security, we know that now it will be an issue because Nigeria has stiff security challenges. So if what they used to arrive at that was security, we know that Nigeria will rank low. But then, security is something that will be solved. That was why the president told the would-be investors in Dubai, he said, keep an open mind about Nigeria. Keep an open mind about Nigeria. Because these security challenges will be surmounted and we will get there. So that's why I said we need to know what indices were used for that ranking that you read out.
Because if you're making, it's good that you realize that some of the issues bedeviling the possibility of investment in Nigeria. If anyone is looking at investment in Nigeria, we want people to come. We want FDI. We want people to look in the direction of Nigeria. But the question is whether or not the government or the Buhari government is doing the right thing in that direction. In the last 3 or 4 years, it is in the negative about the possibility of coming to Nigeria to invest. And it calls to question the capacity of this government to to make people come. Beyond the rhetorics or beyond the preaching outside of this country, the question is, what is this government doing that is right in making people come to invest in this country?
Well, it's just because you are thinking like a journalist. And, you know, that's one thing with us journalists. All we are interested in is our work of informing the public, breaking the news and all that. If you were thinking like an investor, you would know that it is in challenged areas that it is best to invest. Because when you invest in challenged areas, you go in at very attractive rates because of those challenges. And when those challenges are surmounted, you then make a lot of return, quick returns on your investment. If you imagine those who invested in telecoms at a time Nigeria was not even an attractive destination. We were under military rule. Do you know the returns they receive today, 22 years after? Because they are hardcore investors. They could see beyond the facade. So they knew that this was a place to go into because they saw into the future. Well, you see like a journalist, like I probably also see. But if you begin to see with the eyes of an investor, you will know that it is in times of challenges that you need to go into certain places to invest.
Well, the eyes of the journalist is the eye of the average Nigerian, because we relate to the average Nigerian and we see what they see and we try to bring it to the government to call them to order in whatever government is doing. But Mr. Additional, I'm actually making reference to data. Data helps to drive development, because without data, you cannot plan. And I'm saying in the last 4 or 5 years, for example, South Africa dropped on that ladder. Egypt has done something that made them to rise about 4 or 5 places to the very zenith of the investment destination. So the question is that, can you tell Nigerians tonight what is being done differently? How Nigeria dropped so rapidly off the investment destination ranking in Africa, and we cannot even boast in being a part of the top 10. We are the largest. in the nation, on the continent. Nigeria has the largest population. Nigeria has enormous potentials. But then, if we are not able to aggregate those potentials, it means nothing. So the question is, Mr. Additional, beyond the president telling the world that Nigeria is good and ripe for investment, what is this government doing to change the narrative? The data is in the negative. Let's follow the data, Mr. Additional. Data is sacrosanct. Data is sacred.
Really, data is sacrosanct. On this same program, when I appeared here, you have told me that data are just figures if it doesn't touch the lives of the people. So you can't reprobate and approbate at the same time.
No. I just said, I made reference to the ranking. And I said that it is important for us
your point. Let me make my own.
Go ahead, Mr. Additional.
What I am telling you, that all the things that conduce to investment, that redound to investment, have been done in Nigeria. One is infrastructure. Infrastructure will promote investment. It will enhance investment. Another one, the relevant laws. Nigeria has been changing all its laws. Ease of doing business. You know how many steps we improved in the ease of doing business. Policies that are meant to attract investors, tax holidays, a lot of things. Look at the PIA. You will see a potpourri of things for potential investors in it. And then our market is a heavy strength. A bucket of 200 million is heavy for any investor. Many other things that will be very good for investors. Nigeria has it in abundance. So that is why the president has been marketing the country. From Riyadh, an investment forum, then to Paris, also investment, then to Durban, also investment, then to Dubai. And I tell you some more.
When you said earlier, Mr.
The president will continue to market Nigeria.
When you said, to wrap up now, when you said that it's in the tough places that investment opportunities open up, are you saying that the security challenge is an advantage for investment?
What I'm saying is that investors see beyond now. They see beyond now. They will know that, yes, Nigeria has security challenges. But is that all there is to Nigeria? By no means. By no means. That's not all there is to Nigeria. There are other things to Nigeria which attract investment. They will look at those things. And they will come in, despite the security challenges, knowing that the challenges will not last forever.
So on a final note and a quick one, was the president impressed by what he saw in Dubai? And if in 50 years, Dubai has been transformed, does that inspire him at all to do anything different in Nigeria?
We were in Dubai in 2016. We were there in 2019. To the best of my recollection, this was our third trip to Dubai. So it wouldn't be strange or news to Mr. President. He's quite familiar with that country. But everybody knows the story of Dubai. We saw footage of how the country was 50 years ago. Incidentally, Dubai just turned 50, I think, on December 2nd. So it was not the first time that Mr. President was visiting. So he knows how far Dubai has come.
So the question is that, does the story of Dubai inspire him? As a leader of Nigeria, does the story inspire him?
It will inspire anybody.
But what lesson has he taken away from it? Is he taking any lesson away as a leader of this country in transforming this country?
It's not just a question of taking away lessons. It is a question of continuing to do the positive things we are doing so that our country also can be in good stead, just like Dubai and the United Arab Emirates in general.
Thank you so much, Mr. Additional. I hope that the next time that we speak, you might get the data. I may share with you so that this data that I have, which everybody has anyways, I may share with you. Nigeria is not doing well on the
I will also
investigation.
work with the
investment
relevant
destination.
agencies in government who can make the data available.
Thank you so much for talking to us. I really appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
We take a break, everyone. And when we return, Mr. Samson Todo, a lawyer and election observer, as well as Honorable Mark Igbila, member of the House of Representatives, both of them will be joining me to discuss the Electoral Act Amendment and the anticipation of President Buhari's ascent. We are waiting Buhari's ascent. That's next on the program, everyone. Join us. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. It's over 2 weeks now since the National Assembly transmitted the Electoral Act Amendment Bill to President Buhari for his assent. And there are anxiety now over what the president would do to the piece of legislation on his desk, considering some of the developments over the past days. It was reported that the president had written to INEC to inquire about the mode of primaries. Tonight, let's take a look at the issues and the anticipation ahead of President Buhari's assent to the bill. I'm being joined by Mr. Samson Todo. He's the Executive Director of Yega Africa, a lawyer and election observer. We also have Honorable Mark Igbila, a member of the House of Representatives and a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on tonight. Let's begin the conversation. Perhaps we'll begin with Honorable Igbila. Honorable Igbila, on the floor of the House, your colleague, Honorable Abejide, raised a very critical issue. He said it was based on some rumors that the mode of primaries will cost several billions of naira, and I wanted to ask INEC what that meant. There seems to be some anxiety. Why the anxiety, though? Why do some of your colleagues think that the president may not assent to the bill?
Good evening, Shell, and thank you for having me on the program tonight. Let me start by saying that these are all speculations, and obviously there was a need for the House to support Honorable Leke's motion, because we have seen, even from the last meeting the ruling party had at the Villa, where the governors expressed disagreement with the position of the National Assembly with regards to direct primaries, it became important that the INEC chairman clear the air on what the concerns are. And the concerns basically are that it will be very expensive for the country to be able to for INEC to superintend direct primaries for all the parties that are eligible before the main elections. And there are also concerns about the transparency of direct primaries, and of course also concerns about litigation that might emanate from direct primaries. So these are fundamentally the concerns, and it's across both divides. It's not just within the APC alone. I have colleagues of mine too who are averse to the conduct of direct primaries, but considering the circumstances in the House at the moment, that position was still passed by both chambers of the House. So it is something that we will need to see and hear from the INEC chairman to be able to determine exactly if there is a concern in that regard. But personally, I would want to point out that ideally, in ideal circumstances, the direct primaries should be in the interests of the Nigerian people. It should be something that we should all espouse. It shouldn't be something that should cause us any concerns whatsoever. I understand the reservation certain people have, but if democracy is about the people and for the people, we should also look at how to correct those issues we think we might have with direct primaries. I also have my reservations and certain concerns about it, but you know, ideally, of course, if we're all sincere, even those who are against it, we know that that is what democracy should be, in terms of giving the people the opportunity to choose, who will represent them in their parties.
So, a quick one before I go to Mr. Itodo. What does your mind tell you, based on the anxiety that we see, and that whether or not the president may sign, do you think he may not?
Okay, well, my personal opinion right now is, you see, the ruling party is agitated by the decision of INEC and we must commend INEC, commend Mahmoud Yakubu and his team for showing that they are committed to providing Nigerians with credible elections. So the ruling party is concerned, from my own opinion, that passing this law would give them no chance for victory in the upcoming elections. Sincerely, that is my own opinion. But I want to also challenge Mr. President, who also, from what we heard regarding the Anambra elections, put his foot down about transparency and credible elections, to also realize that he owes it a duty to this country to think above partisan inclinations and to the interests of this country. APC will come and go, PDP will come and go. He has served his term as a president. But our children, generations yet unborn, are dependent on this moment in history. Will he write his name in the annals of time as somebody who has espoused what is the best interest of the people? So if you ask me for my personal opinion, although he still has about 13 or 15 days based on provisions of Section 58, subsection 4 of the Constitution, which requires that he communicate back to the National Assembly within 30 days of his decisions not to assent or to assent within that period, so that necessary actions can be taken thereafter. But I think that the APC as a party is concerned about their chances of victory if they sign this into law. But I think the president can rise above. I want to give him the benefit of a doubt. He can rise above all those nuances and show the statesman that we hope that he can be, even at this time in the history of Nigeria.
Okay, so let me go to Samson Todo. Samson, you and your colleagues, you went to town sometimes last week, and you were a bit agitated. Some of your colleagues in the list said, look, they're worried about the turn of things. What worries you the most about the situation as we speak on the amendment bill?
Well, thank you very much, Shewa, and good evening, Nigerians. I think what's most concerning is the delay and the speculations and the feelers that we get from both ends, both from the presidency and from political parties on the stance on the electoral amendment, on the electoral bill. The truth is, we've got a good and perhaps one of the most progressive pieces of legislation in Nigeria today. And that electoral bill that was passed by the National Assembly and currently with the President is in congruence with the will and aspirations of Nigerians. And so if the President is the President of Nigeria and he cares about bequeathing to Nigerians a legal framework that guarantees the sanctity of the vote, then he need not waste any time but to assent to the electoral bill that is before him. This delays, again, still within the 30 days, is occasioning needless, needless speculations, needless uncertainties. Sheun, today makes it about 141 days to the 2023 elections. We've got FCT municipal elections in February of 2022. We have Ekiti and Osun elections that are just right before us. And so these legal uncertainties really create rooms for manipulation. And I hope that the President considers this moment very critical to our democracy. The truth is, the President has up to about 18th or 19th of December, but the National Assembly will be proceeding on recess sometime next week. And if he doesn't, indicate, and for me, indication will be if he doesn't assent to this, it will mean that by January of 2022, we will still have a process that is not concluded. And this has grave implications for planning for forthcoming elections as well as the 2023 elections. So it's disturbing. More worrisome is the fact that this is the first time that the National Assembly adopted a collegiate approach towards amending the Electoral Act. The Minister of Justice, INEC, the both chambers adopted a joint approach. They were all involved in the amendment process. And so if the Attorney General's office was involved in the process up till this moment, I see no reason why we should delay, or the president should delay in assenting to this. Yes, he's consulting with all stakeholders, but this week is very, very critical, and he has the responsibility and an opportunity, to assent to this bill so we begin actual preparations for the 2023 elections. But this further delay and speculations and suspicions that are being peddled in the public space is very worrying. And Shem, we must also put on record that based on our understanding, the president didn't ask INEC or the relevant agencies to comment on specific provisions in the bill as it relates to cost or a particular provision. That was not the content of the letter. The letter from the president to these agencies was to provide considered views on the bill, on the general provisions of the bill. So if the president has not requested for comments on specific aspects of the bill or in relation to cost, then I see no reason why the president should delay in assenting to the bill. He should go ahead, and as we have read, in the newspapers today, that INEC has written to the president and has okayed the bill, then the president should go ahead and assent to the bill. To do otherwise, honestly, I'll say it's a repudiation of public interest, because this bill before him represents the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians.
So one will wonder, whatever the president is doing now, procedurally, they are in order, isn't it?
Yes. When you say procedurally and by convention, yes, in a previous amendment process, he is consulted with agencies of government. But the point being made is these same agencies of government were part of the amendment process, especially the Office of the Attorney General. There were several retreats that were held. The Attorney General was carried along. And so to go back and ask the Attorney General for comments on considered views on the bill gives us room to ask fundamental questions. But like Honorable Bila said, the president has an opportunity to rise above personal or party interest, to look at what is in the interest of Nigerians. And at this particular moment, for a bill that legitimizes electronic transmission of results, for a bill that grants INEC the power to review election results that are declared under duress and under controversial circumstances, for a bill that fundamentally changes timelines for elections, allows for early submission of list of candidates, this is the perfect bill for Nigeria at this point. And so the president should sign and assent to this bill in the best interest of our democracy.
Does it make you feel uncomfortable, the communication or the letter or the inquiries that the president was seeking to make with INEC? Does that make you feel uncomfortable?
Is that to me or to Honorable Bila?
No, to you, Samson.
No, honestly, it doesn't make me feel uncomfortable. I think that, yes, you should request comments from those agencies. My concern just stems from the fact that this is taking too long and it's creating room, for speculations. And as you can read in the public domain, there are pressure from different quarters, whether from the governors or from different political parties, that the president do not assent to this bill. Now, those people who are alleged to be pressurizing the president are doing so for their own primordial, sectional and personal interest. Is not in the interest of Nigerians that the president delays assent to this. He's also creating room, for these individuals or institutions that do not have the interest and the public interest at heart to try to change his views and his position on the bill. He has said that he is committed to bequeathing to Nigerians a legal framework that guarantees the sanctity of the vote. Now he has the legal framework before him. If he delays further, bearing in mind that the National Assembly will proceed on recess next week, in the event he doesn't accelerate his assent, we might end up with a bill that will still maintain an inchoate status by January next year. And if the National Assembly proceeds on recess, it won't resume until the second week of January. And that's few weeks before the FCT municipal elections. That's also few weeks before the commencement of the primaries for the Ekiti and Osun elections. So this amendment is time sensitive. That's why we expect that by this week, the president should have assented to the bill. I don't expect that the president would decline to the bill before him, because that bill is a representation of the will and aspirations of Nigerians. Except if the president is telling Nigerians that when it comes to a decision on electoral amendments, the interest of certain individuals supersedes the collective interest of the people. And in that case, he will be acting in variance with the commitment that he has made that this bill, which he would assent to, will be a bill that reflects the will and aspirations of the Nigerian people.
Honorable Bila, if you look at it, the president has 30 days as provided by law, after which, if he doesn't assent to it, the National Assembly has a power, and the law specifically states the powers of the National Assembly, the numbers that is needed, I think, is two-thirds to be able to veto the president. As far as we know, and as far as we have it now, the president hasn't done anything wrong. So the question is, why is everyone on the edge about what the president has not done or what he's doing? He's done everything right, based on the law, based on process, isn't it?
Yes, in terms of constitutional provisions, yes, he's still within the time frame to assent to the bill. We all understand that. But Shay, it would be interesting for you to note, because that is why some of us are also, agitating for some constitutional amendment in that regard. The process of, passing a bill, especially this particular bill, like my brother Samson has said, involved those agents and agencies of government that he is presently supposedly consulting. In the U.S. legislature, for instance, although these days it's no longer the bastion of democracy per se, if I might say so on a lighter mood, but it takes only 10 days for your information for the president to assent to a bill, just 10 days. Because for some of us as National Assembly members, we feel undermined, we feel slighted, that it appears as if even though we have risen above partisan politics to present a bill that, is in the best interest of the Nigerian people, the president doesn't seem to be confident in the work that we have done, which is why in the U.S. legislature, all it requires is 10 days. After 10 days, if the House is in session and he does not assent, it becomes law automatically. But if they go on recess, then it's what they call pocket veto, and then they come back, and then the two-thirds majority applies like it is in our own legislature, as it is in Section 5 of, subsection 5 of Section 58 of the Constitution. So if in other climes 10 days is sufficient for a president to pass legislation, you can now understand the agitation of Nigerian people, especially in a situation where those same agencies, the Attorney General, INEC, and everybody else involved was part of the process. So what and who is the president consulting with, again, at this point, if it isn't because of petty, in my own opinion, partisan nuances and concerns, which as a nation we should rise above. I believe this administration, above everyone else, should appreciate what transpired in 2015 when they assumed power in this country. Nobody knows what can transpire tomorrow. Why are we still delaying on something that will be in the best interest of the country? So, Shaun, these are the reasons why there are agitation. And of course, like Samson also said, there are also other things that are hinging on this act. Upcoming elections. Wouldn't we like to have this law in place before the municipal and the other elections in other states? Wouldn't we want to have this passed in time so that based on the provisions of the law, even financial considerations and required funds can be put in place? These are things that the president should be aware of.
All right.
So these are reasons why you can see there's a lot of agitation and a lot of concern being expressed across the country.
Honorable Mark Gbela, member of the House of Representatives representing Benue State and a member of the PDP, and Mr. Samson Todo is the Executive Director of IAGA Africa Election Observer and a lawyer. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming through tonight. We do hope that that bill will be assented, and when it does, Nigerians will know the importance of what is being captured in that new piece of legislation. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching tonight. I'm Sean Wakimaloe. Bye for now.